I was in Pakistan and I met this woman, and she runs an incubator and accelerator in Pakistan, in Karachi. And her incubator is called the Nest IO, and she calls herself the big bird of the nest. And I'm like, man, we have a bird, we have a T-Rex, we have a ninja cat, and I got nothing. And so I started thinking about what animal I could be. And because IBM does a lot of work with open source, and the penguin is like a symbol for open source, I just went and changed all my titles to the chief penguin. And then one day the UN wrote an article and quoted me in it, and they called me IBM's chief penguin. And then all my leadership team started calling me the chief penguin. So I changed it in our company directory, like the whole employee directory, instead of my regular job title. And then everybody said, okay, you don't have that other job title anymore. This is your job title now. So yeah. So even when my leadership team is on a call with me and introduces me, like my GM, and there's one person in between him and Arvind, our CEO. So he's like, all right, I've got our chief penguin with us. So yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So again, before we start, as you were speaking, we were just testing also the mic. Can I confirm at least one with the last speakers if the mic and there is no echo with the two translators?
As for me, it's fine. No translator, but the pace, please. As soon as we start, can I ask kindly each speaker to watch out his or her pace? Thank you.
Perfect. Okay.
And if at all possible, if Melissa could actually find the headset, even a regular phone one, your earphones from your phone, because it is not the best quality of sound when you're also hearing yourself interpreting.
Yeah, maybe I'll put it down because I don't have another one. Sorry.
Okay. And the last, so we have also Mr. Maki Binyan. I don't know if I say it very well. Mr. Maki Binyan from South Africa. Are you here with us today?
Hi, sorry. Yes, I am here with you guys in the morning. Apologize for the lighting. Actually, the doctor's office. I thought it'd be easier for me to take the call from here because I've got a procedure in an hour's time. But I'm here for the information of the session. And thank you all for having me.
So, as they give us the mic to start the webinar, so I would like to welcome everyone here today to join us to the Startup Gate Summit, the virtual summit this year, and the fourth webinar will be about how could startups survive after COVID crisis and proposing alternatives and solutions as well grow a global roadmap for MENA region and Africa startups and talented youth to real life and scale up after the COVID crisis. So the topic is going to be a mix between what's happening right now all over the globe after COVID for startups and how can we go beyond the COVID crisis. And I would like to welcome all our speakers from all over the globe, I think. First, I will start with Miss Melissa Sassi from IBM. She's from Texas, so she's joining us at the late at night hours. Could you please quickly introduce yourself in 1 minute? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So I work at IBM. I'm the global head of a startup accelerator that's called the IBM HyperProtect Accelerator. And I also head up student experience. So I am very passionate about young entrepreneurs. And I have quite a subset of startups from the MENA region or MEA region. Happy to talk more about that later. I also have my own nonprofit where we have a co-working space, IoT lab and robotics lab in Tunis. It's called Mentor Nations. It's all youth-led, youth-run, and we help young people learn technology skills and explore how they can start their own companies in tech.
Thank you and welcome. We will talk later about the topics. And I would like also to welcome Ms. Haifa Al Abdullah from Qatar. She is the Innovation Director of QSTP, Qatar Science and Technology Park. Welcome with us today. Could you please introduce yourself in 1 minute?
Hi everyone. I'm Haifal Abdallah, the Innovation Director at Qatar Science and Technology Port. My responsibility is really to support entrepreneurs and tech innovators in Qatar and the region. We have various innovation programs, starting from mindset programs to incubation programs to support these young startups. My background, I have computer sciences degree and a master's of business administration.
Thank you so much and welcome from Qatar. And let's go to Mr. Mustafa Al-Ghazli, if I may say it very well. And he's he's right now from Istanbul. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everybody. I am Mustafa Al-Ghazli. I am from Libya, now in Istanbul. I am heading an SMEs and entrepreneurship development incubator that is serving fragile countries in the region, trying to do our work in rebuilding states like Libya, Somalia, working with Syrian refugees, Yemenis. So our main goal is to support fragile countries and their youth, economically empower them so they can rebuild their states and prevent them from joining criminal groups and violent extremist groups. I am also, my background, I am a computer engineer, and I did my MBA also on the role of entrepreneurship and small business in stabilizing fragile countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mustafa. And the next speaker is Mr. Maki Binyen, and he's joining us from South Africa. Welcome. Could you please introduce yourself?
Great. My name is Maki Binyen Mohapela. From South Africa. I come from an organization called Youth Economic Alliance. We're a youth advocacy group, NPO, that is actually doing a lot of programs to assist youth entrepreneurship and startups in the South African area. We've got a primary focus operating in sectors around agriculture, education, and ICT. So our work is to interface between corporates and also assisting government with shaping policy. We almost serve as a conduit in the middle between all the different organizations. I am also involved in 2 startups, one an electric vehicle manufacturer and another biotech company as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, let's and then another speaker who's like a friend of mine for a while, Miss Monia Jandoubi from Tunisia. She's the business development manager, Smart Tunisian Technopark. Miss Monia? She's not here, no problem. Then to our last speaker, Mr. Mohammed Zaid, who's the president of Libya Botics, from Libya, and who has very, very good resume, as I saw his resume on Google. I would like to talk to talk more about your CV and your experience, Mr. Mohammed, later. Could you please introduce yourself? Mohammed Saifuddin. Mohammed Zaid, he's not with us. He just left. He was here, but he just left. And Mrs. Monia at the end.
Hi. Amin. Hi. Good morning, Amin.
Ms.
Good
Monia,
morning.
Good morning. So could you please introduce yourself before we start?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm Monia. I'm working in the first ICT Technopark in Tunisia, which called ex-El Ghazala Technopark, but now we are speaking about the new company managing this Technopark, which is the Smart Tunisian Technopark. So my mission at El Ghazala Technopark is, in fact, in helping especially startups how to commercialize their innovative product and how to go international. My background in business communication really allowed me to enlarge our international network and to help our youth and our startups working on innovative ideas to go beyond a border. Yeah, so I'm here to animate our ecosystem and to provide more and more opportunity for our startups and our clients as SMEs.
Thank you, Ms. Monia, for the explication and clarification. So now let's go. Mohamed, he's here. So, hello, Mr. Mohamed Abu Mahfouz. He's Better Platform for Social Enterprise. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, Mr. Yahi. My name is Mohamed. I am working as a public relations manager in Better Platform. We are based in Istanbul. We are supporting the entrepreneurs and startups in the Palestinian societies around the world, inside Palestine and outside Palestine, as a virtual platform. My background is engineering, and I am done with my MBA. Thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome, Mr. Mohamed. So we have different speakers all over from every place, from US, from MENA region, from Africa, and also from Istanbul. So we are going today to talk about how could startups survive after COVID crisis. So I'm gonna start with Ms. Melissa Sassi from IBM to tell us, how do you see now the evolution of the startup after the COVID crisis? What's happening right now to the startups? What's the impact of the COVID, and how can we go after beyond COVID? What are the tools to set up, and what are the mechanisms that we need to implement to try to go after COVID? Thank you.
All right, perfect. How much time do I have? I want to make sure that I stay within a time limit.
Maximum between 10 and 15 minutes. So everyone
okay, all right, cool. So I'm going to start off and kind of just give you some anecdotal thoughts, and then I'm gonna get specific, and I will share a specific program, and I'll do some comparisons between how this is related to other programs that startups can take advantage of. I think for startups in particular that I work with, I've seen a lot of organizations pivot, and I've seen them change their business model, or change their industry, or even change their product. I've seen some startups actually identify that they don't think they have product market fit, which obviously is incredibly important when you're launching a company. I'm also a founder. I have 2 startups of my own. They're both edtech platforms. And so I speak about this, from an academic perspective, also from big tech, and also from personal experience. I think I want to highlight one thing that is an interesting data point. We need to be doing more to foster relationships with young entrepreneurs, early stage entrepreneurs, but also women and girls. In the US, for example, and this is only one data point, only 2-point-something% of venture capital, or 4-point-something%, depending upon which data set you use, of all venture capital funds went to startups with at least one female founder. Crazy, right?
That's
I mean, if you think
yeah.
about women making up half of the population and a fraction of that going to female founders, it's a problem. I don't think it's a matter of, wow, where are all the women and why are they not being entrepreneurs? It's a systemic problem and a systemic challenge also when it comes to who's funding, why are they funding? And, it's bigger than just, hey, how do we inspire and how do we empower women to become entrepreneurs? In my program at IBM, I'm very focused on geographic diversity, gender diversity, ethnic diversity, and also looking at different products. I'm going to walk you through how we do things at IBM. So I'm going to just share my screen. Oh, if you could give me the right to share my screen, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Can you give her access, Mohammed, from eBay platform? As host. 1 second, he's taking...
Yeah, no worries. While we're waiting for access, I'm gonna kind of look over here just to make sure that I cover the main points that I wanted to cover. As background as well, I spent 5 years at Microsoft, and I was an impact investor at Microsoft. I focused on both internet and energy access, and then bringing digital skills to the newly connected. And my whole focus was around, again, that concept of global empowerment, and how do we inspire the next generation of creators, makers, and doers to not just be consumers of technology, but again, creators, makers, and doers empowered by technology. Also thinking about what are those activities that we all need to do to bring practical skills to young people, especially now when...
You can share your screen, I think, now, directly. You have access now?
Not yet. So when I came from Microsoft to IBM, I wanted to create a program that was, truly community driven, and thinking about what is it that big tech can do, whether it's during COVID, after COVID, before COVID, to really think about what are the things that big tech can do to empower startups. And I kind of looked at what is the secret sauce of, IBM in particular. And I think every, big corporate organization, whether that's IBM, or specifically tech organizations, whether it's IBM, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, et cetera, what are the things that we can do to help, startups to prosper? And as I started looking at, the different programs that exist, a lot of the programs that are out there, including IBM's, provide startup credits, so cloud credits. How can you tap into technology credits to help you build your platform, to help you bring it into production, to help you get to general availability? And what is the network and scale that a company like IBM or our competitive set can do to introduce startups to their network? And how can you go to business together? So that's really what my program is all focused on. I didn't want to focus on the broader ecosystem of startups and create what I call a one-to-many model, meaning how do I work with 20,000 startups? I wanted to look at a program that would enable me to really work with the best and brightest of a subset of startups, so that I could really focus, and we could really focus on doing a great job with a smaller group of startups, as opposed to 20,000 that we wouldn't have any idea what are they doing. And I do have colleagues that focus on what I call the long tail of startups. But I'm going to tell you today a little bit about IBM HyperProtect Accelerator, what it takes to get into the program, what we've seen our startups enjoy, if you will, as part of the program, some of the pain points, because not everything is perfect in any program. We've learned a lot. I was digital before digital was a thing.
Can startups from the MENA region and Africa join the program, actually?
Yeah, it's a global program. And of this last cohort, 34% of my startups were from MEA, so the Middle East and Africa, 34%. So a really large set of my startups. What do I look for? I focus on fintech, health tech, and insurtech. So, for anyone who's listening, for any of the speakers, I'm always happy to collaborate. And I work with a number of different, collaborators. I have a partnership with Village Capital, for example. I also have worked with a lot of different, accelerator networks, like the Global Accelerator Network. We always post our, information in F Success. And I've worked with a lot of different, scouting organizations, including, people that I might happen to know in the industry, but naturally it's hard to know everything everywhere. I mainly focus on those companies that are dealing with high levels of sensitive data. So that's personally identifiable information. And one of the reasons that I'm focused there is because I think that, nowadays, data protection, privacy, and security is a massive, area of importance. And I believe that startups should have access to the same tools that an enterprise customer of IBM should have access to. Just because they're small, it doesn't necessarily mean that they should take shortcuts when it comes to protecting our data. Even if our regulatory requirements in a country might not require you to be GDPR compliant or might not require you to do certain things, we all need to be doing the right thing to protect our medical records, to protect our fintech records. I also focus on startups that are less than $1 million in revenue and less than 5 years old. So again, early stage startups.
Yes, when you say early stage startups less than 1 million,
yes,
do you accept them also when they have revenue? So can you take them out the ideation phase or incubation?
I prefer for them to already be at either close or at MVP or minimum viable product. And the reason I say that is because IBM's a big place and we got a lot of people doing a lot of cool stuff. We have a lot to learn as well. That said, I find that if you're in the idea stage, sometimes startups are just not ready for everything that we're going to do to come and swarm in to help you build and scale, because they might be, a random woman working on a random idea, and I'm not saying that all idea stage activities are random, but I find that they're not ready for us yet. So typically, I do include a few idea stage that are close to MVP, but I usually look for MVP or GA. And some of my startups are pre-revenue, are bootstrapping, right, or they've got access to angel funds. So let's say you get into the program, and I'll talk about some of the numbers of what I'm recruiting for in a second. But
you still have 6 minutes.
All right, cool. You get technical mentorship for 2 years. That's one-on-one, an actual real live person. So you're not like, typing in a form and going into a random email box. You have an architect. I have a cloud solution architect, actually a cloud solution penguin on my team. I also focus on business mentorship. So technical mentorship for 2 years, business mentorship for 1 year. The whole idea is, how do we bring you into our ecosystem? How do we get you introduced to our customers, our partners, our network? How do we go to market together? How do we collaborate from a marketing perspective? And then you also have access to $120,000 in cloud credits. I've got 45 startups in my portfolio, more than 20 countries. 53% of my startups have at least one female founder. 34% more than 34% of my startups have at least one Black founder. And then about 15% of my startups have at least one Latinx founder. And again, 3 different industries. My applications open up in April. So be on the lookout. I'm recruiting 55 new startups. Again,
because you are going remotely, so that's why you're increasing the startups. Okay.
Well, partly business reasons, but we were virtual before virtual was a thing. So I'd already had my content and my program built out. We did, last year we did a 1 week, kind of mini accelerator in person in the US where we provided travel grants and everybody flew to the US. This year we did everything virtual. I had 15 startups last year. I added 30 this year, and I'm adding another 55 next year.
Amazing.
This is the kind of stuff I look for. So what does your tech look like, your team, your value prop, your product market fit, the normal kind of stuff? Is it fit for purpose? Meaning, are you handling sensitive data? And that's really because IBM has a strong position when it comes to data protection, privacy, and security. You can check out the cohorts 2 and 3. I've got the blog up here. My application process is not open yet, but it'll open in April. So what are we in? We're in November, so you've got time to prepare, but you can at least read a little bit about what some of the startups are doing. They're now going through their 1 week virtual accelerator, and then we'll move to monthly engagement. I'll have monthly engagement for 15 of the 55, and the remaining will have quarterly engagement. We help them put future state architectures together and specific roadmaps around what can IBM do to help, how do we connect you to our network, and how do we help you build and scale as we go to market together. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and just kind of share that some of our startups have done amazing, and some of our startups are struggling and really trying to figure out, oh my gosh, this has really disrupted my business. What am I going to do? But I'm excited to say that the majority of them are doing quite well. And, you know, one of them, we're looking at co-creating a product together. You know, others, it's more about, okay, what's that path of us, you know, getting you listed in our cloud marketplace so you can gain revenue, you know, from that relationship with IBM, and also utilize, you know, our logo in a meaningful way so that when, you know, our startups are going out and talking to, you know, investors, or going out and talking to, you know, large customers, they're able to talk about the infrastructure that sits behind it. I often do reference letters when they're going after grants or funding opportunities to really showcase that, yeah, they're in this, you know, this program, and we're helping them to build and scale. And I often find that's very helpful for our startups that are going out and looking for investment capital. How did I do for my 10 minutes?
It was very good. Thank you so much for all the information shared about the IBM program. It's very interesting. I would like to get also all the details later. I'm going to share it with the community.
Yeah, I'll send this presentation over to you. You can also find me on Twitter. So for those of you who are on Twitter, Mentor Africa with a K. So if you didn't catch anything, you need anything, that's the best place to reach out, and or LinkedIn. But I'm easy to find.
Thank you so much for that. Now let's talk with Ms. Haifa from Innovation. She from Qatar Science Technology Park. You are working very close to entrepreneurs in the region, and you are promoting a lot of startups from the Qatar region, and from especially from the QSTP, from Qatar Science Technology Park. Could you please tell us more about the programs and how now the programs are switching to work remotely, if they are working remotely, and how they are trying to face the crisis COVID, if there is any startups who are working to find a solution for the COVID as a digital solution or as a hardware solution? Ms. Haifa?
Yes, okay. Okay, thank you. So for a decade now, QSTP has been driving the development of new high-tech products, services, supporting the commercialization of market-ready technologies, and contributing to the economic diversification at Qatar and the region. So at QSTP, we created an environment to support aspiring entrepreneurs at every step of the way through different opportunities to turn their passions into a startup or a business. Our value chain begins with laying out the foundations for entrepreneurship mindset through what we call the Arab Innovation Academy and Stars of Science. So I can talk about these programs later on. And then we have like the mentorship programs for entrepreneurs. We have specific accelerators for people at idea stage. And then we have an ultimate home for startups, which is our incubation center, where people can actually register their companies and start their own journey there. So if you don't mind, I can share some slides where I can show the pictures of our programs, if you allow me to share the screen.
I think you have already a direct access.
Okay, let me try this. I have no idea where can I share this? Okay, share this.
There is this share screen, yeah, the green button.
Yes, share.
Yes, start sharing.
Okay, so we have various programs. So our core function as a park, free zone, is to attract multilateral companies to have presence in the park. So we've done this since 10 years, attracting companies in the R&D sector, big names like Microsoft, Cisco, and Shell. All these people are coming to Qatar to work on research and development areas. And we recently, in the past few years, realized the importance of supporting young entrepreneurs and startups. And that's where we introduced our innovation center, where we provide various programs ranging from mindset programs to accelerators and incubators. And we recently introduced also some funding support to startups locally and globally as well. So if we talk about our free zone functions, this is like how we offer a collaborative co-working space for people, R&D centers, and we give them the whole support to develop their technologies within the park. These are some of the examples of the companies within the park, and then we have a range of startups as well. Talking about innovation in particular, we have multiple programs to support the mindset in the Arab region in particular. So we have what we call the Arab Innovation Academy. It's an intense boot camp that we do here in Qatar for 10 days. We've delivered 3 cycles so far, and we bring students from all the different universities within the region. It was a great experience to have all these people together, but unfortunately due to COVID, we will have to shift our strategy next year. So the program will be delivered completely online or virtually next year. So that will start next year, inshallah. We will still continue to do it to support young minds, but it's going to be delivered virtually. We have also the very well-known show, The Stars of Science. It was launched in 2009. The whole purpose of this show is to bring the mindset of the young Arab innovators to how to create their products and give them the proper support. Now we've completed the 12 seasons, and the applications are now ready. So anyone, any talent from the Arab region who would like to show their ideas, to bring supports and help for their ideas, they can actually apply to this program. And then we have programs to support local startups. We have what we call the QSTP Accelerate. It's a 3-month idea to product training. Again, this was delivered on like a classroom style, but the last cycle we have shifted to a digital version of it, and it was it worked well, I can say. Nothing to compare with the, I would say, the experience of having everyone together in one room. But again, we tried our best to deliver the ideas to the people. We have also a special program for researchers, just like the accelerator. We try to matchmake between entrepreneurs and researchers to create startups around certain IP that was developed internally within Qatar Foundation. This is our incubation center. This is where we actually allow people to try out their ideas, register their company in the free zone, because as a free zone, we allow 100% foreign ownership, and we have a lot of facilities and connections. We have 2 funding themes within QSTP, the Product Development Fund and the Tech Venture Fund. So the Product Development Fund targets the SME sector at Qatar, and we give this matching grant to companies who develop new ideas or new technologies. Then we have the Technology Venture Fund, which has been launched recently. It provides seed stage support for the local startups, and then we participate in a Series A and B investments for international companies. So we have currently a partnership with 500 startups where we co-invest in regional startups. We have a
question about that. I have a question about that. You said that you're co-investing with 500 startups. Do the startups should come to and being incorporated in Qatar in the free zone, or they do incorporated in US?
When it comes to investment, whether it's direct investment from QSTP or in partnership with 500 startups, they don't have to be located in Qatar, especially if you're talking about Series A and B. I mean, we have this special requirement for the seed stage, but beyond that, any startup who managed to develop further or grow further, they can actually apply to our investment fund or go directly to 500 startups, which is also providing direct funds for startups at an advanced stage.
Thank you. That's very interesting, co-investing with 500 startups.
Okay, so yeah, these are some examples of the products that's been supported by QSTP. Most of what we do, we have a blend of hardware and software, but I would say mostly we have digital solutions. And that's why, as Melissa said, we actually found it interesting that many startups pivoted during the COVID crisis. They managed to actually shift their strategies, and a lot of them went successful actually, because they were a little bit buried, but within the situation they managed to sell online. Especially we have an example of people who managed to sell pharmaceutical stuff directly to people, which was like very demanding at the very early stage, and they became very popular, I would say, and they managed to increase their revenues due to the crisis. So I think even though it was a challenge to us at the beginning, but I think for startups in particular, they are very agile and responsive, and many of them managed to change their strategy to actually work on different products and services and deliver things online and virtually. So these are some numbers from QSTP, because we celebrated our 10th anniversary last year. So we have currently 50 plus companies and over 20 startups today. We have 31 innovative products that has been introduced to the market, and over 1,000 individuals from across the region benefited from our programs. Talk about Arab Innovation Academy, Stars of Science, and the various programs that we offer to startups in Qatar and within the region. So yes, I think that's on my part.
Thank you for presentation. I have some quick question about that. So, as you said, a lot of startups are pivoting remotely. Are you now also having an application form, online application form, which is open, that now startups can apply from North Africa and from MENA region? And if there is not on now, when you are going to open the online application form for them?
Yeah. I mean, like if you go to our website, we always have like the online application open for every program. Mm-hmm. So you can reach out and apply to the specific program. The Stars of Science have their own website. So if you just Google Stars of Science, the application is now open. You can directly apply. Any innovator can actually apply online. The application will be closed in December. So I welcome everyone if they have any idea to actually apply.
I see. And if they are going remotely, as now we are seeing, so because you said that there is an incubator and acceleration center, so everything is online right now?
Most of our programs, I would say, that are delivered online, except for the incubation center. People are still using their offices, but again, like we're taking the precautious measures. But we're still like, we don't have any, I would say, like on-ground events. Everything is delivered virtually at the moment.
Thank you so much, Ms. Haifa. So now let's hello?
Yeah, you froze for a second, but you're back now.
I'm back. Yeah. Sorry, I had some... Hi. Mr. Mustafa from Istanbul, who's originally from Libya. So could you please tell us more about you, the general manager, the program that you are providing to the refugees all over the world, especially from Libya also, and from other countries?
Okay, thank you, Amin. Actually, our program is called the BINA program. Our program is an initiative supported by international organizations such as ISDB, Islamic Development Bank, SESRIC, which is the Statistical, Economic, Social Research and Training Center in Ankara, and also partners elsewhere. For example, in Libya, we have a partner, the Libyan Program for Reintegration and Development. We have also partners in Somalia and amongst the Syrian refugees. So our main role is to support youth in fragile countries and conflict-affected countries, economically empower them and support them to create jobs for them, and so they can play a role in rebuilding their economies and their states. As I'm sure all of you would know and would agree with me that job creation, SMEs and startups has an important role in stabilizing fragile societies, rebuilding fragile countries and failed states. According to the studies that we have conducted, SMEs and entrepreneurship support DDR, for example, reintegrating militias and armed groups. So it provides them with jobs. It provides them with an alternative to carrying weapons or being part of militias, which is very important for countries like Libya, Somalia, and Syria. Also, SMEs and entrepreneurship is very important for public administration reform. For example, in a country like Libya, we have around a third of the population is employed in the state, in the government. And for reforming the governmental sector, rebuilding the economy, many of these civil servants or government employees need to be channeled towards the private sector. So there is no way to provide them with jobs in the private sector except by launching small business and entrepreneurship and building the ecosystem for that. Also, when it comes to violent extremist groups and the recruitment for youth in our region, part of their success in recruiting young people, actually our youth, is unemployment, the lack of hope or good livelihood for youth. So we believe that small business entrepreneurship is very important in rebuilding our societies and our states and providing our youth with sustainable livelihood with hope, and also including them in rebuilding the economy and our states. What we have been doing for the last couple of years, we usually launch SMEs and entrepreneurship competitions for youth. They apply, we have certain criteria. They apply, we select, we shortlist the projects and the youth that we think can succeed and can have a small business that can grow or a startup that can be accelerated. Part of the criteria, we make sure that it provides jobs for other youth. It is possible to get some funding and some investment, or what we call smart partnerships. Part of our funding to these projects, we try to find them well-established companies, either in their countries or from abroad, that can partner with them so they can give them the knowledge, give them the expertise, and also that they can enter with them into partnerships that can become successful businesses. So this is usually our training lasts for 6 months. We give them intensive training, coaching, mentoring. Also, in the end, we make them with companies that are interested in partnering with them. Actually, we have...
My question, Mr. Mustafa, quick question
Yes.
about this. Do these entrepreneurs are based in Libya or are based in Istanbul, most of them?
For now, we have 3 ongoing projects. We have a project for the Arab diaspora in Istanbul, in Turkey in general, so mainly Syrian refugees and also refugees from the region that have been, there is an influx from our region because of the situation in Yemen, Libya, Syria, to Istanbul. So our competition is open for all the refugees from the region to Turkey. So this is one project. We have another project, we call it Bina, meaning to build, for Libya, where we are now training and incubating 78 small businesses in Libya. And in December, we will start also a project for Somali youth for 100 small businesses. So our strategy is to expand in the region, support as many fragile countries as possible. We're thinking next year of launching also a project for SMEs development and entrepreneurship in Yemen also. So now, for now, we have projects in Libya, Turkey for refugees, and also in December, we will start in Somalia. Our support and our funding comes from international organizations. We are a non-profit organization. We received our support for these projects from Islamic Development Bank, also an NGO, a Dutch NGO that is supported by the European Union and the Dutch government called Spark. Also QFFD, which is Qatar Fund for the Development. And also from Libya, we have a few partners in Libya that are engaging with us. In Somalia, we are partnering with a very well-known institution called Zamzam Charity. It has an incubator, it's called the Somali Incubator. Concerning, this is the kind of work we do, we actually found that what happened since the beginning of this year, because of COVID, is actually has given us new opportunities. Now we are working online, we're working remotely. I would just like to give an example of the opportunities that we found in this pandemic. For example, in Libya, we were originally working in the cities that are under the control of the Tripoli legitimate internationally recognized government. But now, since we've been working online and virtually, we are able to work in all areas and cities of Libya. For example, 78 of the 78 small businesses that we are engaging with, 25% of them are in the east, 15% are in the south, and the rest are in the west of Libya. 35% are of young ladies. So actually, for us, it gave us a wider outreach. Also, it was a way of building the capacity of youth by training them on computer skills, internet skills. We also concentrated on digital solutions, platforms, projects that can be solutions for the current conditions in Libya, for example, either because of the pandemic or because of the ongoing conflict. So this is the kind of work we do. We are looking for partners worldwide. We think such work needs different partners. We need partners that can support us in knowledge transfer, in also outreach to these young people. Maybe also we have different approaches that we can learn from. For example, our main approach now is training, incubation, mentoring, and then matchmaking for investors, angel investors, to support our projects and our small businesses and entrepreneurs. So I think this is...
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. If there are any questions about our work, I'd be happy to to answer.
I will get back to you later with some few questions. So before we go to our next speaker, Mr. Maki Banier, I would like to welcome Ayman Gadri from Germany. He's a Tunisian, but he's based now in Germany. He's the chairman of the Startup Gate Summit. Hello, Mr. Ayman.
Hello, Amin. Thank you for inviting me again here in the webinars. Thank you for all the MVTs and all the speakers. I just have to say 5 minutes very quickly, welcoming all of you again. The point here is actually, in fact, yesterday we had the opening of the Startup Gate Summit within the ministerial and high-key VIP personal MVTs from Tunisian and all the regions. And I had also the opportunity to meet Mr. Mustafa Al-Higazis in the past in Istanbul, and a lot of people here as Melissa and so on. And the point here actually that we started yesterday with the Tunisian key and VIPs and key ministerially decision makers, not only in Tunisia, but also some of them are acting on the African level, to start by having actually a roadmap and developing a roadmap for the Tunisian government for the startup ecosystems development. And the idea here is actually...
I have a quick question to you, Ayman. I have a quick question. Speaking about the startups, I know that you have a startup. How are you now facing the crisis? If you can quickly give us an overview about that.
I will just come back to you, I mean, to answer exactly this is what I'm going to say now. I welcome all the partners here and the participation here from Qatar, from Istanbul, from everywhere. And I would like to have their feedbacks, which we are going actually to follow up with them, their feedbacks, how we can have a roadmap in the MEA region. Because every country has now somehow their own idea, or they are in the ideation phase, or in the incubation phase, how to push up and develop and empower startups in their country or in their region. But it's more local stuff. It's more actually local-oriented driven policies. Our aim is to collaborate together for one roadmap, which could be actually getting more out of the collaboration and cooperation between regions.
Ayman, I would like to thank you, because we need really to go to Mr. Maki Banier from South Africa. We are sorry, Mr. Maki Banier, because we had some few seconds we had for technical reasons. So let's go back to you as a Vice President of Youth Economic Alliance South Africa. Could you please tell us more about your programs and now how are you facing the COVID crisis in your region? Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me this morning. So we run a number of programs. So as the Youth Economic Alliance. So Economic Alliance is a think tank and an advocacy group for youth entrepreneurship and for early stage startups. But then we have a criteria as to the type of startups that we do on board at any given time. But I wanted to just run through you some of the work that we do and some of the programs. But then before that, if you may allow me, I actually wanted to address the first part of the question, how to survive in the COVID era. So being the central depository where we have a lot of startups who then come to us, who are part of our programs and who we actually do market penetration strategies for, and absolutely some of them introduce them to the market. What we have found most concerning and probably the most important aspect given this time in the COVID period, because it's a high levels of anxiety and fear. So what I think that what we've noticed is that we prioritized mental well-being and mental health for a lot of our startups and our startup founders. Naturally, the road of entrepreneurship is a very scary and daunting task or journey. But then given this period, it added to a lot more levels of anxiety. So through our network, we actually partnered up with another startup who created an app called EQ. That's EQOO. It's a gamified app that deals with mental health issues. So in terms of, think of it as like a life coach on the go. So it's been clinically proven and tried in America, Germany, and a few other markets. So as we were going digital, we realized that this was just one of the tools that actually started aiding us. Because I think what you always want is to ensure that your startup founders are always making decisions that are very sound and clear as far as business decision making goes. So we realized that, look, at the start of the period of COVID and up until now, we realized that, look, a lot of the people who, one, were thinking about pivoting and changing industries, or because perhaps their particular business model may not fit in this current climate, we had to just get them to realize that you may have to alter it, but not necessarily change it wholeheartedly, because again, the crisis will pass. It may just mean having to re-engineer your business model slightly versus dropping it altogether. So that was the one thing that I think going forward, I'd like to advise a lot of startup founders actually to introspect and actually look at their own mental health as regards to it helping you making clear and sound business decisions for your startup. Look, let me just put it out there. I'm not a clinical psychologist by training. I'm a development economics major. So some of the programs that we do run, we interface with the presidency in South Africa, where we help them shape policy around entrepreneurship and also around access to creating policy that allows for access to market for our startup, i.e. setting certain prescripts of saying that 10% of procurement must be set aside for early stage startups by the South African definition. And I think that's something that we are very proud of, because again, as much as we do run the programs on the back end, we also have to play a function of creating their market and access to the market, and the ability to hold, be it government and corporate, accountable for. Are you allowing these new emerging business and opportunity to actually get into the space? So that is the work that we do. I'd like to speak to you about one of our tech accelerators, which is actually how we came to know the Startup Gig crowd, where we've taken a few, it's purely looking at tech startups, so biotech, fintech, our primary focus areas. It's called Letolo Accelerator. So this one it's a collaboration that we have done with the Department of Small Business locally, and also with a few of the big South African multinationals listed on the local stock exchange. Well, one of them is actually listed in the stock exchange. So because there's a lack of funding or grant funding for startups in South Africa, our corporate partners actually ensure that they do then provide this funding for our startups to actually do further R&D. So it's primarily an R&D fund where we said, look, X amount of the money must go towards R&D and X amount of it must go towards marketing purposes. Because what we found disproportionately was that locally there was not a lot of money allocated for startups for particularly call it marketing exercises, where it said, we're more than happy to support R&D, but not happy to support marketing. And we think go-to-market strategy and marketing is equally as important as refining the product. I think we can use them. Mention one without mentioning the other. So this little accelerator, we have 15 startups in that stage. One of them has actually been voted one of the best startups in South Africa. So they are a biotech company that have actually been making reagents for COVID testing. And right now they are actually now making COVID tests, which has actually not been rolled out at our points of entry into our borders. So that is one of our success stories that actually happened and emanated now during the lockdown period. And we have another one also in the electric vehicle space, which is busy doing engine conversions for the black cabs in London. So by the year 2022, London said that all the cabs in the inner city have to be hybrids, with electric and petrol. So one of our startups is actually busy doing a few of those conversions for the London Taxi Association. So those are just a few of the startups that we work with. But what you will often find with a lot of our startups is that there's a high level and measurable level of impact. As you know, the amount of funds flowing into impact investing and impact investing sort of startups is increasing significantly, especially in the sub-Saharan Africa region. So what we have then done is to actually, with the United Nations Development Program locally in South Africa, worked on we contributed to what was called the SDG Investor Roadmap, Sustainable Development Goals Investor Roadmap, which shows the priorities as far as the national government and also the priorities as from a continental level, and it just shows where the flows of resources are going, which is equally as important because as a startup in a third world country like ours, where resource mobilization is not as easy, it's very important to see how you align to be it the national strategy, perhaps continental and the global strategy, obviously, while you're assessing your market. And currently, so what we have done is worked on this program and actually segmented the sectors that are going to be getting a large flow of capital inflow, and then obviously try to earmark a lot of these flows towards our startups. So that's a policy work we do, but at the same time, in the market intelligence that we offer our startup. So by virtue of us being able to do this advisory work, we're also being able to impart this market intelligence and insights to our startups, which sometimes we found that as startups, they are always internally looking at the actual products, and we felt this is information to them. We're also very big advocates for the current Africa Continental Free Trade Act. As you know, South Africa is chairing the African Union this year, and well, if it wasn't for COVID, we were supposed to have signed into law the Africa Continental Free Trade Act in June. So this has set us back a little bit, but what we have realized is that the ability to speak to 1 billion people on the continent plus and will actually create the ability to scale for any startup. So instead of just looking at within your regional block, we think that we're now advocating that our startups should actually now start looking at a greater.
I thank you so much, Mr. Makibani from South Africa. It's very important. You can also connect with IBM and also with the innovation with Qatar Incubation Acceleration Center. This is why we made this event, so can people connect each others all over the globe. Again, thank you so much for your speech, and we will get back to you for a few questions. And now Miss Munya Jandoubi, which is a very good friend again to me, and she's very well connected also to the Tunisian ecosystem and also the international ecosystem. Ms. Munya, could you please tell us more about the Tunisian ecosystem and how the Tunisian ecosystem right now is facing the COVID crisis and how startups can scale up later on? Madame Munya? Okay, she is not. Oh, hi. Hi,
you can hear me?
Yes. Did you heard my question or?
Yeah.
Okay. The floor is yours.
Thank you again. Thank you, Amin. Thank you to Malak for this opportunity. So as you know very well, our ecosystem and our community at Al Ghazala Technopark and currently Smart Tunisia Technopark, we are continuing our support and our different program in order to help our community, our innovative ideas holders, and our startups to grow, and especially to go international and commercialize their products. So, I mean, no one can deny that the development of technology, solutions, services, product is accelerated by COVID-19. And the wave of the fourth industry evolution becomes so high. So in fact, no change, in fact, in the technology development direction, but only speed goes up. So daily we are living within our startups. We have our innovation center in which we are offering several programs, especially for prototyping and giving technical support with the collaboration of our partner from private sector and from university. Also, we have our incubator center. Today we have about 25 startups and no square meter available. So lots of demands are coming right now to the incubator, to El Ghazala Technopark, in order to join the community, to join our ecosystem, because we are always advising our startups, our students to join ecosystems and community, to be hosted in incubator, to join acceleration program. It's very important. So not to be spread in some other location. It's very important. So to hear about opportunity and to be involved in many programs. So we are developing many programs, and it's due to our international and huge international network. Since the creation of the Technopark in 1997, we developed a large international network. So within Technopark's innovation networks, and we are member of the biggest Enterprise Europe network, and we are assuring the matching and the introduction of our startups. And our main mission is Amin? Amin? You can hear?
Yes, I am hearing you very well.
Yeah, our main mission in the incubator is helping startups to finalize their prototypes, their product, working especially because we have some criteria of selection in order to enter our incubator. So we are helping them in order to have a prototype and working on innovative products and helping other sectors to grow. So we are offering several programs for soft skills, helping them how to pitch, how to set their communication plans, and how to negotiate with other clients or investors. We launched in the first phase of the COVID-19 our first virtual incubation program, and it was a success because we involved even startups from Palestine and Yemen, and we have mentors from Tunis, from Europe. They helped especially startups in reviewing their marketing strategy, so to be ready, inshallah, after COVID-19 to commercialize directly their products. So for our innovation center, we are helping especially teacher at university and innovative ideas holder to finalize their prototypes, and after that they can jump and join us in our business incubation center. And inside this center, we do offer lots of program, but especially our main focus in helping startups how to commercialize their product and go conquer new market. So the impact of COVID-19 is really so huge on some startups. We advised them to be more agile, more responsive, and to change their, to review their business model. So we are working closely with them. We are working really closely with them inside our incubator, trying to help them to jump this crisis and go beyond border. So. But I mean, it's really due to our international network. We have this large international network, and inshallah, after this crisis, we will launch our soft landing program. The soft landing program, it's like a channel of communication between startups from different countries. And we have our welcome office in Algeria in the Technopark of Sidi Abdallah, And we can welcome startups from Algeria, and our partner in Algeria, they can welcome startups from our incubator, and in Côte d'Ivoire. And we are trying really to find more opportunity, because the need of startups is really the market and how they can commercialize their innovative products.
Thank you so much for all this information about the Tunisian programs and ecosystem. And let's go to our last speaker, Mr. Mohannad. Hello, Mr. Mohannad. He's the responsible of Badr platform for social enterprise.
Hello, Mr. Amin. Thank you.
Hi.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Actually, briefly, I will introduce Badr platform to the attendees. We are based in Istanbul. Actually, since around 2 years or more than 2 years, we started to design our programs and our platform business model. Actually, we are serving the Palestinian startups and entrepreneurs in Palestine and outside Palestine through our programs and services. Actually, from the beginning, we started to design our program as a virtual program, as a fully virtual program before COVID and before this crisis. We have launched our first program since 1 year, and it's done. And at the end of this program, we realized that the virtual programs has its effectiveness and efficiency for the startups. We realized that many startups and entrepreneurs facing an obstruction of the time or constraints of time. Most of them, they are working in a full-time job, or they are studying. So the incubation or the physical incubation program sometimes making an obstruction for them. Because of that, and we got the feedback from the startups that they have benefits, and they have benefited from our program more than some of the physical programs they attended, because they were not able to attend the full program or the full sessions and workshops there. Actually, we are focusing on several industries: technology, economic development, environment, and health and education. For the Palestinian case, I mean, it's a special case because they have too many obstructions in the government regulations, the political situation, the economic situation, and so most of the startups inside Palestine, they want to be exposed to the outside countries and the outside world. Most of them, they don't know that there are huge opportunities outside. So we are trying to expose them for these opportunities and to connect them with mentors, investors, any other stakeholders from outside. Also, we are not focusing only on Palestine as a country. We are serving all the Palestinian societies in the diaspora, in Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Turkey. So in our first program, we have received, we announced our program only through offline channels. We did not make any online campaigns or marketing. So, and we received a huge number of applications. So this makes us that to realize that there is a huge potential in the Palestinian societies, and the startups needs to serve their societies through their projects and startups. And also we need to make to develop their mindset of the social impact of their startups. Even if the startups or projects are fully for profit, but our aim and objective of the platform is to develop the social impact awareness and mindset for the startups and for the entrepreneurs.
Mohammed, I have a quick question to you.
Yes.
From an entrepreneur perspective, how did you felt this after crisis COVID? What was the challenging that you faced as a startup in your ecosystem, and what did you saw in the other startups? What was the challenges, and how did they face the challenge during this crisis, especially when in terms of investment, maybe?
Yeah. Actually, as I said, for our program, it's before COVID. It's like we designed the program as a virtual, and also, as I said, the Palestinian case has a special case because of some political issues. The project, the startups inside Palestine, most of them, they have a problem, or the first issue for them is to get an investment or to get a fund from any organization or any stakeholder investors. Actually, the investors, they are always afraid to invest in these startups especially inside Palestine, because of the high level of uncertainty in the situation there. We are trying actually to support especially the startups inside Palestine to get an investment, even if it's from outside, or to get a grants. Actually, in our program, we provided all 5 of the startups with a grant to develop their MVP. And this was our objective in the first program, that all the startups has to be ended with an MVP, able to be tested and able to be working to test the business model and the startup. I hope that I answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much for that. We still have 10 minutes to continue this session. I'm gonna back to Miss Melissa if she's still with us. Melissa, hi.
Yep, I'm here.
After hearing everyone, I mean, from every place, from Istanbul, from Palestine, from Qatar, from South Africa, and from Tunisia, and during this session, could you tell us if we really can everyone collaborate together, and can startups from each region can apply and try to recommend them during for your program?
Yeah. So
as Mohammed, just as
no,
Mohammed
go
said,
ahead.
for example,
No worries.
the Palestinians are like facing a lot of challenges. For example, if they can apply to IBM program, that's going to be perfect for them.
Yeah, they can. It's a global program. It's open for anyone. And actually, I've spent time in, last year, I was in Johannesburg. I was in Tunis last year, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, go my code. I saw that.
Yeah, half a dozen times. I didn't make it to Turkey last year. I was in Qatar a few years ago. So I would consider myself very much a citizen of the world. And obviously IBM is a big global company that really thinks about, how can we empower, entrepreneurs everywhere. I have a soft spot for the MEA region. My family lives in Tunis, my children. So I haven't seen them in a while, unfortunately, because of all of the travel challenges that we have today. And my passport is no good in Tunisia right now. But what I will tell you is I welcome everyone to apply to my program. Granted, there are some, requirements. It's not, geographic requirements. It's more about, are you handling personally identifiable information? So medical records, fintech, financial services records, because my program is all about data protection, privacy, and security. I would, welcome all of you to apply, or for anyone who's interested in collaborating, whether you're in Qatar, whether you're in Joburg or Tunis or Palestine or Istanbul or wherever, I'd be happy to collaborate. And as I mentioned,
thank you for that.
55 startups. So 55, that's a big
55
number.
55 this year. Yes.
55 next year. So next
year. Also, yeah. Ms. Haifa from Qatar Science and Technology Park, after hearing everyone from this session, as the same question, could you help every startups like watching us right now or in this session to apply to the incubator and accelerator program?
Yeah, it's very impressive how the region is really growing in terms of the support they provide for entrepreneurships from the beginning of the journey until they are really incubated and manage to raise investments and money. So all these opportunities are available, and I really encourage everyone to take that opportunity and try their chances. This time is quite different than before. It's not about the job anymore. It's just like if you have an idea, go ahead and deliver it. And you have all these impressive incubators and science parks around within the region. We as Qatar Science and Technology Park are open for everyone who needs support and help. They can reach out to us and we can put them through the right program depending on their stage they are in.
Thank you so much for this information. So as everyone is hearing and watching us on the live, you can apply to the programs. So really sorry for the interruption. So yeah, as I said, you can apply to the incubator, to the acceleration program. Also, you can also apply for the Tunisian acceleration program, as Madame Monia was mentioning. Before we close our session and we go to the last words from everyone, I have a huge announcement. So after the pitching session of yesterday at the Smart Community Solution competition, and after the jury votes and after the jury votes, I would like to announce the startup that won this competition. Hope they are following us or watching us right now. So the name is WeSettle. Congratulations, WeSettle, for winning the Smart Community Solution competition, and hope that you can follow up with the organizer of the prizes of the competition, and also all the connection that the networks and the connection you can get from this Startup Gates Virtual Summit 2020. So I would like to go back to the last sentence from everyone. What are your advices that you can give to entrepreneur right now during this period, which is very difficult period? What's your advice and what's the best tips to do to try to scale up after the COVID? Let's start with Melissa.
All right, good. So I think, biggest thing that, you need to think about is, do you have the right product market fit? Do you have the right business model? Do you have the right advisory board? And those would be the three things. I could list so many things and could go on and on. So I don't know how to capture that in such a small amount of words, because I think that we can talk in generalities. But ultimately, each founder and each startup needs to think specifically about what are those three specific things that you need to do. But get a good advisory board together, figure out who are your mentors. Don't exhaust your mentors. Make sure your customers are ready for your product, and be prepared to pivot if you need to.
Ms. Haifa, what's your tips and advice for the entrepreneur?
I think this is like, we shouldn't look at this as a challenge rather than an opportunity for all startups around the world. I mean, digital was the future, but now it's the reality. So think about like how you adapt your business model to make it more digital and more like, it's actually not only, solving the problem of COVID, but it actually helps you reach out globally. So this is like, I would say the future and ultimate goal that every startup should have is really to develop products locally and make it accessible on a global scale.
Thank you. Mr. Mustafa, what are your advices to the SMEs and the entrepreneurs from Libya and from Syria, from the refugee, that you're working close to them?
My advice would be that they should take advantage of our new global village. They should not only think locally, they should think globally. My advice to them, and also to us, people who are working in incubation and economic empowerment, is that we need to partner for the benefit of all of us. We need to support these young people with our knowledge and our expertise. So partnering and networking, this is my advice to them and to us.
Partner and networking, good advice. Ms. Monia, what's your advice for the Tunisian entrepreneurs or startups after COVID or during COVID crisis to scale up?
they should think how they can make a difference. So it is very important for startups and for especially ICT sector. They think agile, they think responsive, and think globally. And I want to say to them that they can join technoparks and incubators, and it's very important to be involved and integrated in a tech community. It's very important because I do believe in connection and in networking. So this is my word, always saying to our startups that they should be always connected. So I'm also, our slogan is in connections we trust.
Connection, trust, good advice to the entrepreneur. Muhannad, as an entrepreneur, I would like, from an entrepreneur to entrepreneur, so I'm also an entrepreneur and I'm also co-founder of startups. So what's your advice, Muhannad, as an entrepreneur to your colleagues, to the startups that you're working with them right now?
Sure. Actually, I want to advise the startups and entrepreneurs, especially that in this crisis, they have to search and to look for or to implement new technologies and to go for more agile business models in this crisis, as there is a high level of uncertainty, but at the same time, there are too much opportunities. Also, the other advice is to, from an HR perspective, they can go. I know that most of the startups facing obstructions in the HR and employment, so they can go for more flexible job offers. They can go for the remotely employment to decrease the expenses of the HR. And the last advice is to take advantage of this time by sitting, maybe some of the startups sitting at home because of the crisis, to attend the virtual programs, the workshops, and the training programs, and to take the useful information and to learn from these programs.
Thank you so much, Juan, for your valuable inputs and advice. So we are at our end of our webinar, the fourth webinar of Startup Gate Summit. I really would like to thank everyone and thank every speakers for their valuable inputs that they give us today, how to face the challenge after COVID, and each ecosystem has each specificity, so no one can easily make it if we don't all collaborate together. Everyone was saying networking, connection, and everyone need to advise each others. So we need all to collaborate together during this crisis, COVID crisis, and everyone need to advise others and give them the opportunity to scale up and to find new markets and new opportunities. Again, thank you everyone, and hope that all our audience enjoyed this webinar. And if you have other questions, please follow up on the Startup Gate Summit page. You can reach to every speaker through their LinkedIn and through their emails. And thank you and goodbye, everyone. See you.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.